Everyone assumes being a tech guy that I'm really into like the Pelotons and all these connected cardio equipment. But the truth is, I'm not. Hi everyone, it's Andy Baryer, aka Handy Andy, your DIY tech guy and fitness guy. During the pandemic, I lost 20 pounds, so I guess you could call me a fitness guy now. Well, today we are talking about connected cardio equipment, in particular Peloton, because the Peloton spin bike is super popular. I got a lot of friends who love it. But what if you can't afford it? Are there other options? There is, and that's exactly what I'm reviewing today. It's called the Echelon spin bike. That's right, they called it Echelon, the cheaper version of the Peloton. Echelon, Peloton, you can tell where they got the inspiration from the name. They didn't even try to hide the fact that they're copying the name. But what's interesting about Echelon is that it's a cheaper version of the Peloton. Now, the big question everyone's probably wondering is it as good as a Peloton? And that, my friends, is what we're going to find in this review. So let's go ahead and begin by starting with the design. Now, before we talk about the design of this bike, I should note that there are 4 different versions of the Echelon Smart Connect bike. The one that I'm reviewing is called the EX3, and that's kind of like the middle tier one. And the reason why it is significantly cheaper than a Peloton or the other Echelon models is the fact that you bring your own tablet onto the bike. So it has a little cradle for you to put the tablet, but it doesn't come with its own dedicated screen like the Peloton bike does. Because the Peloton bike has like one model, whereas the Echelon has 4 different models, depending on, if you want to bring your own screen or you want the built-in screen. Now, the steel frame is coated with this red and black design, and it has a very compact form factor as well. The frame can support riders up to 300 pounds. So that's going to cover pretty much the majority of the population. The bike also has a lot of adjustability. So no matter what your size, whether you're, let's say, 5'3" or 6'3", maybe even taller, 6'6", you have a lot of adjustability, whether it's at the seat, the handles, or even the position of the seat, the depth of the seat from the handlebars. So lots of customizability to get that perfect, most comfortable fit for your riding. One thing I liked about the design was they had room for 2 sports bottles, because if you're like me, I drink a lot of water when I'm doing cardio. I could easily get through 1 bottle. It's nice that they put it for 2. On the back, they also allow you to put 2-pound weights, because a lot of the spin exercises basically incorporate weights. I didn't know this. I was like, 2-pound weights? And apparently, 2-pound weight is quite a bit when you do all these different exercises on the bike. However, the 2-pound dumbbells do not come with the bike, so you're going to have to buy those separately. All in all, the build of this bike is pretty good. It's got a solid build. It felt tough. And more importantly, it was very, very comfortable to ride. The resistance is changed on the front. You have this red dial that's also adjustable, and you can change the resistance from there pretty easily. It's using magnetic resistance inside the spin wheel to make this all happen. And I have to say, it was incredibly smooth, and the resistance actually is working. It's got 32 different levels of resistance as well, so not as much apparently as the Peloton, but trust me, it's enough to get the sweat on for you. So between the customizability and the spinning mechanisms and the comfortability, I'm telling you, it's actually a very comfortable bike to ride for somebody who's never rode, I should say, a spin bike. The pedals are made out of aluminum, and they actually provide a very sturdy and comfortable fit. The cool thing is you can use regular shoes like I did, or you could use cycling shoes that will clip on in. So whether you're really into cycling or you're just new into spin bikes and you don't have those shoes, it doesn't matter. You could use your runners with this bike. Another important thing that they did with the design was they have an included USB adapter on the side, and that allows you to keep your tablet charged while you're spinning. Because what I noticed was when I was using my tablet, boy, was it sucking battery during the live spin classes that we'll talk about just in a little bit. But the inclusion of a USB port is essential. For anybody that's hooking up your tablet to this bike, you're going to want to just keep a dedicated cable ready to go for when you're ready to have a spin class. Now, the way that this bike works is everything works in conjunction with the Echelon app. Now, here's the thing. If you get this spin bike and you're into spin bikes, you're likely going to commit to a monthly subscription. The Echelon app, to get all their features and their live classes, that's going to run you about $50 Canadian a month. I don't know what the US prices are, but I'm here in Canada. I think it actually is $50 US. So it might be the same both in Canada and the US, but don't quote me on that. That's just what I think when I was doing my research. I was getting 50 on both websites. One thing that I noticed that this bike was missing in the design was a built-in heart rate monitor. That said, you can get an optional Echelon chest monitor. I can't believe they still make those. Or you could use your Fitbit or Apple Watch and have that synced in with the bike inside the Echelon app. So highly recommend it. You know, heart rate is one of those great data points that you want to have when you're doing cardio, because you can keep yourself in a certain heart rate zone, and then you know that you have that intensity level. Even though they have other metrics, heart rate is a fantastic metric to be able to gauge your intensity level, especially for longer durations like a spin class. Speaking of spin classes, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the live classes inside the Echelon app. So like I mentioned, you're going to have to get a subscription to the Echelon app and all of their services to get these live classes. They're unlimited, so you can do as many spin classes as you want. Another thing that I thought they were just going to have, like, we have a class at 9, we have a class at 1 and 3. However, what I was very, very surprised and happy to see was the fact that there's like a new class every half hour. So when you're starting up, you could even just do your warm up. There's probably be a class that's going to start. So it doesn't matter what time of day, you can get a class, a live class that you can join from the comfort of your own home, which I think is really appealing to a lot of people out there. You don't have to do the commute to the gym, get ready, do the class, and then come home. That commute there and back, you can just, that time alone is your spin class when you're doing it at home. So for a lot of people, that is the benefit of it, is that you can feel like you're in a spin class, except you're doing it at home, and you could do it virtually any time. So you can get up in the morning, just look at your clock, and get onto a class. Now, like I said, this is the first time of me doing a spin class together. I've seen these commercials for Peloton all the time, and people, they make it all look perfect, like they're really like into it, and they're smiling while they're spinning and sweating. I have to say, it was a very, very interesting experience doing a spin class at home. The one thing that really got me was there's a leaderboard on the left side, and they measure the leaderboard based upon your output. Output is gauged on two things: your cadence, so how many times like you're spinning, and also the resistance level. So when you combine both of those, you can get your total output score. And the leaderboard is based on who is like pushing the hardest. So you could have the resistance on low, but be spinning high to get your output level high. Or you could have the resistance high, pushing slower, but you still got a good output. Or you probably do something in between, or even cycle between that and do like interval training where you're going low and high and fast and slow and just really shifting it up. The leaderboard, like I mentioned, is just going to have the total output. So you can climb the leaderboard just by going harder. And what was amazing was, for me, never have done a spin class. You know, I'm sitting there, I'm looking at this leaderboard, and I'm like, oh, I want to get up higher. Next thing you know, I'm sweating. I'm just giving her. And I'm not even listening to the instructor. All I'm trying to do is get up that leaderboard. And so if you're a competitive person, you're really that's going to be an appealing feature to you, because it's just going to put you into that beast mode, because there's something rewarding about seeing yourself going, like, you know, being in the middle or on the bottom and just climbing and going up and trying to get to the top. It's a very rewarding feeling, something I didn't expect from myself on this spin bike. So that I really liked. Another thing I really liked inside the Echelon app was the performance metrics. They're all nicely displayed, and you get it into real time. The interesting thing is the instructors will tell you, okay, turn the resistance up over here, get up off your bike, and then get back down, get up, turn the resistance back down. They even tell you and throw certain numbers of resistance that you want to put it on. Now, of course, you can work at your own pace and not even do that, but they're trying to basically turn it up, allow you to have times to like rest, get some water, turn the intensity up. So there's a lot of instructions going on by the instructor while you're spinning. I was having a hard time focusing on that. Sometimes I just wanted to spin, or I'm looking at the leaderboard. I'm not really listening to the person. But I think the more lessons that I would get at spinning, I would get better at that, or I would just figure out my own thing while I'm taking those classes. But typically, you want to follow the instructor. Now let's go ahead and just talk about my overall experience of using the Echelon EX3 bike. So the funny thing happened was, when I first started, I was just, getting used to spinning. And then I was like, I watched a lot of Peloton commercials, so I know how they do it. So they kind of get up and they just kind of stand like this. Well, what happened was, after I was doing the adjustments of the seat, I don't know, I guess it kind of loosened up and I actually fell backwards. Thank God the wall behind me saved me. Otherwise, I would have fell like way off. The seat just kind of like moved straight up when I put my weight onto the back. So that reminded me that, whenever you do adjustments with the seat, you want to make sure you grab the tools and tighten up those nuts to make sure that you don't fall off the bike. Once I did that, I also went in there and I made sure I adjusted it. I actually Googled spin bikes and what the proper adjustment is. And they said the seat should be around your hip bone. So that's what I did. And it was a comfortable fit. I adjusted the handlebars and, I took that, 5 minutes of time. And it really helped me a lot to get a really good, comfortable fit. After that, taking the classes, I'm like a data nerd. I love all that on-screen data. I really was missing the heart rate. That's the one metric I always based everything on. So I wish I had a Fitbit or an Apple Watch. Well, I don't even have an iPhone, so a Fitbit or another watch that's compatible so I can get that heart rate data metric on there. That was the one thing I'm missing. But the cadence, the resistance, then to be able to see that in real time, I really like that. So if you're a data nerd, you're going to love this bike for that, because you get a lot of that feedback and your intensity level and what your level exertion is based on that data. The other thing that kind of surprised me was, if you know me, you know that I'm like huge into jump rope. I learned it during the pandemic off YouTube, and now I'm like a jump rope enthusiast. I'm like a freaking jump rope ninja. But I'll tell you this, if I didn't jump rope, I could probably see myself getting into spin. And the reason is that leaderboard, that competition, knowing there's other humans there. Sometimes the instructor will even call, people out, so that it's not pre-recorded. They're like, you might even hear your name get shout out during the session. So I'm even sure that the instructor, if you went to every single one of their classes, they would probably start to recognize your name. But that competition aspect, really surprised me. I was like, man, I love climbing leaderboards. It just makes me feel good. It's kind of like in the video games when you're playing against your friends, you always want to win. If you're a competitive person, like Michael Jordan, I'm guarantee you, Michael Jordan tried this bike. He's going to try to go right to the top. He's just a very competitive person. Even when he plays cards or golf, anything he does against somebody, he's competitive. And I'm kind of the same way. Maybe not to that extent of Michael Jordan, but definitely, that surprised me, because with jump rope, I'm just competing against myself. I'm just trying to learn different moves. I'm all in my own head. But with this, there is that social aspect to it and that competition aspect that really appealed to me. So I really like that. But I'll say this much, I get it now. For those people that spin, that always like, oh, I love spinning, I get it. I understand why you could really get into spin bikes, especially when you combined it with the dumbbell weights and other exercises, because just spinning your alone, like maybe if you jump off, do some squats, maybe some push-ups, you can get a full body workout. So I get it now. Now, doesn't mean I'm going to stop jumping rope, but I do get why people are really into spin bikes. Now, let's go ahead and end this off with my final thoughts, especially as it relates to Peloton. So I bet you've been watching this video and you're just like, well, is it as good as a Peloton? Is it, because it's cheaper, should I get this over the Peloton? Oh, I'm about to give you the answer you don't want to hear. It depends. And here's what it depends on. Number one, here's what I realized just by looking at the numbers between the Peloton and the Echelon. First, it just really bugs me that they ripped the name off like that. Could you imagine the guy who came up with the name Peloton and then someone else is like, oh, I got this new bike. It's going to be a competitor. I'm going to call it Echelon. You know, there's innovators and imitators. Echelon, imitator, 100%. However, what they did was smart. They have 4 different models and different price points. So if the one thing preventing you from getting a Peloton is the price and you don't want to do the financing, the monthly financing that they'll offer, well, the Echelon might be for you because you can get the bike considerably cheaper. I'm not going to start mentioning the price because the prices always fluctuate. But trust me, it will be considerably cheaper than buying the Peloton bike. Here's the thing. The subscription, at least from what I've looked online, is the exact same. $50 a month for Echelon subscription, $50 a month for a Peloton subscription in Canada. So you basically save on the bike. The bike itself, the ride, again, I'm not a spin bike expert. I'm kind of a jump rope expert, but not a spin bike expert. It was comfortable for me. I had no issues, a lot of customizability of adjusting it. If you looked at that beginning video where I fell backwards, that was probably my error of just not tightening the nuts enough on the seat after adjusting it. However, it was a comfortable bike. I think it was a good build. The experience with the app is fantastic. Everything works as prescribed. Here's the thing. Don't get this bike if you don't want a subscription. You're basically making a commitment to that $50 subscription because it's kind of worthless. I don't see any utility in this as an exercise machine without the subscription and those live classes. You could watch Netflix, just sit there, but you're not going to be pushing yourself because you're not going to get that feedback. You're not going to have the instructor tell you what to do. You're not going to have the leaderboard to see that Joe Schmo is beating you or climbing and he was down here and now he's here and what are you doing? That's the thing. If you're going to get a spin bike, you're going to pay a subscription. Now, if you already had a subscription to the gym and you're canceling that and then you're going to just move it into the home, then it makes a lot of sense. However, if you get the subscription, you're like, oh, money's tight and you got to drop that subscription, don't get this bike. It's just going to sit there and collect dust. You're not going to ride it without the subscription, I'm saying. Basically, it goes like this. You're not going to be riding this bike if you don't have the subscription. So factor that in. Budget the subscription into your yearly annual budget because that's the cost. It makes sense if you canceled your gym membership and then just transferred it over to an Echelon subscription. That makes sense. But a gym membership and an Echelon membership, I don't know. I don't think so. So this is a commitment that you have to make. If you're getting this spin bike, you're doing it, 1, you want to save some money off the Peloton. And number 2, you've committed to having a subscription for the long time, for the long game. So if you're going to buy this bike, here's why. Number 1, you want to save some money on the bike itself. And because you look at the Peloton price and you're like, I'd rather save a boatload of money. However, 2, you have committed to getting a subscription. Don't think that you're going to buy this bike, have the subscription, say like, I'm going to cancel it and I'm just going to do my own spinning every day. Chances are you're not, okay? Let's be real. Let's just be real. You try watching Netflix here and try to have the workout of your life. It's not going to happen, okay? You might have a casual stroll, but it's not going to be intense. So be real with yourself and your finances if you can afford that $50 a month subscription. That said, it was a comfortable bike. I didn't have any issues. I can understand why people got it and they like it. The community is not as big as Peloton. So if you go on Facebook and try to join a Peloton community and then you go to an Echelon community, of course the Peloton community is going to be bigger, but the Echelon community is growing. And so they're taking a big market share away from Peloton because it's premium priced. However, Echelon really needs to drop the subscription, in my opinion, to make it worthwhile. Another thing I would like is the resistance level. Imagine if you could have it so that when the instructor changes their resistance level, it changes on yours. Maybe there's like a little toggle where you can be like, sync our resistance levels. That would be dope, because now you're doing the exact same intensity as the instructor. So when they say make sure your cadence is at this, that's all you have to worry about. You don't have to go and keep adjusting the resistance, which is something that I didn't like doing. I'm just want to spin. Why do I have to keep doing this? Like, just sync me up with you. You go and change the resistance. I'll just keep spinning. That would be a cool feature. Maybe in a future version of Echelon bikes, they'll do that. Maybe, I don't even know if Peloton does that. Apparently, I think NordicTrack, their bike does that. But that's a feature that would be a killer feature if you ask me. If I was to get into spin bikes, I would want that feature. Well, I hope you enjoyed this review of the Echelon EX3, the cheaper man's version of the Peloton bike. Again, if you get this, you're just saving money on the bike. The subscription's the same as Peloton, so it's really up to you. I'm not going to tell you to get it or to not get it. It's cheaper, okay? The bike itself. But the subscription, that's going to cost the same. And don't think that you don't need the subscription. Trust me, if you get this bike, commit to that subscription. Well, if you have any questions about this bike, go ahead and leave the comments below. If you like this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to this channel. If you like DIY tech, how-to, fitness, gardening content, pretty much anything I'm interested in, I'm going to make videos about, and you're going to see it if you subscribe. Once again, my name is Andy Baryer, signing out. Go to my website, handyandymedia.com. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.